All right, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for another episode of Pop Culture Clash. My name is John Santo, filling in for Mr. Marcus Beer, who is out this week. All of my emotions go out towards Marcus and whatever he's endeavoring in this week. I don't know what's going on.
He's sick.
Is he?
He's sick. I think
of
all of me coughing 2 weeks ago into the mic, he picked up some of that.
That's what happens when he licks the microphone.
Well, I told him to stop.
With me, as always, I'm going to start at the other end over there, is Mr. Jeremy Hoffman.
Hello.
And with us a special guest this week, Michael. It's Huber, right?
Yes.
Huber. Okay. I always want to say Huber because I feel like you're missing a vowel, or umlaut or something. Anyways, a gentleman and a scholar.
Your name is wrong.
Yeah, your name's wrong. Get it fucking fixed.
Okay.
Anyways, a gentleman, saint, scholar, Michael Huber's with us. Goes by Mike. All right. So let's start off with Marvel news. Marvel has announced that they are working on a package for 5 shows, 4 series, 1 miniseries, that they want to that they're going to start shopping around to networks, Netflix. They're really kind of going all out and looking for anybody that's wanting to kind of pick this up. Jeremy,
Anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, this was kind of this was a story you hooked up on. Give us your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think we started talking about this with Shield,
Right.
which still isn't very good, but it's got better.
Yes. I'll
we
go
talked
with
a lot of Shield last week, so we'll skip
I
over.
don't want to. No more Shield.
But the idea that they're trying to do 5 shows for maybe some of these lesser known characters. Sure. People have thrown around the idea of like Heroes for Hire,
right.
Doctor Strange. I even feel like they're talking about an Ant-Man movie that might be a better show. They've talked about Agent Carter,
right.
Peggy Carter from the Captain America movie is possibly getting a spin-off. This could also be where we see maybe a female lead, maybe more of a B character come in.
Right.
They could fill them out. I don't know. Or do you pull in like a West Coast Avengers TV
I say
show?
we get a Punisher out there. I mean, we haven't had anything like an Equalizer type of character floating around on television for a while. So.
I mean, they got Daredevil back, right?
Yep,
so
they did.
can we do a Daredevil CSI type cop procedural with
right.
Daredevil? It could be awesome. Lawyer, more even like Law and Order based show.
Right.
Could be interesting. Like, who knows? Runaways was rumored for a while as a movie that that could become
that would actually work as a series.
Yeah. Who knows? The idea, I think the one I'm most interested in is this miniseries idea.
Yes.
Because that feels like something that's going to maybe impact the movie universe a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, they've said with S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV stuff isn't going to float up.
Right.
The movie stuff is going to float down.
Right.
So.
Reaganomics at work.
Right.
Oh my God, that's such an old
Trickle-down theory.
Trickle-down theory.
Wow.
They still teach that, I hope.
But maybe if you do a mini-series
right.
that, and that's on Netflix, everyone could watch it, a lot more access, that could tie into the movies a little bit more.
Right. So yeah, I'd also heard that possibly the shows will one of the ideas is that the shows will feed into the miniseries. So that will be you'll have the 4 separate shows. The miniseries will be where those characters actually come together in kind of an Avengers form, type of way. So who knows? And right now they're just. I mean, this is very ethereal. It's still floating around. They haven't announced what characters they're going to be using or the dynamic, or if it's even going to get made yet. Right now, it's just a pitch package, I guess. Correct?
Yeah. So what would you want to see? I mean, you're I know a little bit more of a DC guy, but you've kind of dabbled in Marvel.
Yeah,
Anything you'd like to see out of this universe?
I would love to see something on like HBO or something.
Well,
just to really.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be ridiculous. I wonder, that'd be like Punisher, something like that on an HBO type.
That could get nice and violent on HBO, actually,
or even AMC. Like, look at
AMC's
Breaking
right.
Bad. It was not a non-violent show. I think you can't do it on network TV, but
Sure.
if you want to pull into,
yes, as Shield's kind of proving in a weird way. What's interesting too? I didn't even think about this. They didn't talk about in the article. I didn't read anything about it. Will they sell different shows to different companies, or does it have to be a package deal to the same company?
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
I thought they were leaning towards like a package. Yeah.
Wow, that could be heavy.
that could be. I mean, that's
a lot of money to invest in 4
It was something
4
around
shows,
like 60
4
episodes
shows.
total. They were
Right.
saying. It was
really?
It was like 4 series of 13,
Like 13, yeah.
episodes. And then,
Oh, interesting.
I mean, do you do that on? It's funny. Like, you just feel like it's going to be on ABC because Disney owns it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so where else would it go? But I like the
Netflix,
idea of a
like you're
Netflix
saying.
thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that'd be great. It just depends on who, I feel like for TV shows you need to think about special effects, right? Like, and this is coming. We're seeing this in Shield. The special effects aren't great. That comes down to production cycles and unfortunately things that they just can't get around. Any TV show, we've talked about this.
No, this last episode, which was as you'd mentioned, I was so on it still, but like you'd mentioned, and several other people talking about it, it's the best episode yet of the series. Minimal, if any, special effects in it, if I remember correctly. There's just a couple, camera, POV shots through eyes and stuff like that. But other than that, minimal special effects.
It's like Once Upon a Time is so dependent on special effects because there's all these worlds,
and it always looks really cheap.
It looks so bad, and it's because they have a longer season. I think like 22 episodes.
Are they? Do they still push the 22?
Yeah. Wow. So if they shrunk it down and just put more of a budget into each episode, I think it would.
Right.
Yeah, and it comes down, I think the expectation is always like, well, it looks so good in the Avengers. We want the TV shows to look like that. And it's never going to happen. No. I think that's something we've learned with S.H.I.E.L.D. We've learned that with stuff, even like, great TV shows like Lost that had budgets, like didn't have great special effects because the turnaround's so tight. So which one of the, which of these shows could be like, it's a Heroes for Hire type thing with Luke Cage and like not a lot of special effects needed. You really, Runaways, probably not as much as something else. Punisher, not as much as, we're not going to get a Silver Surfer show, flying through space every episode.
I really only know the character from Captain America, Carter. Mm-hmm. But she just had the recent short that was on the Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, which I've not watched yet, but I've actually heard is one of the best.
It was actually really good. Yeah. So if they did a show, set in the 30s or 40s or whatever, kind of a period piece, maybe make a show where the entire show is the origin of a supervillain, and then have that villain maybe tie in.
That could be cool. I mean, we haven't. Yeah, that's a great idea. We haven't even talked about the idea of villains being mains.
Yeah, that's true. Tom Hanks is pleading.
Yeah, there's an interview where he was like, "Why has no one ever asked me?" I mean, I don't have the full quote here, but it's pretty much, "Why has no one ever asked me to be in a superhero movie? I will do anything, superhero, supervillain, put me in a movie."
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, I'm in. Like, you just saw Captain Phillips and have been raving about it.
Fantastic film, a great film. The guy's got range. I mean, Hanks is now hitting his second wave, I guess, of a career. Kind of started with not Revolutionary Road. What was the Road to Perdition? Thank you. It's the other Road movie that he did. Anyways, but yeah, Road to Perdition was him trying to break out of the guy next door, nice guy persona that he had been his career had been based on for
Forrest Gump and everything
years
else.
and years and years. Yeah. And Captain Phillips puts him in a new, definitely in a new zone for me. And I mean, I'll give Hanks a shot at anything. Why not?
Yeah. It's so great because when I think of him, I don't think of him playing anybody. There's no one where I'm just like, oh, he would be like that villain or that hero.
Right.
He's so versatile that.
Doctor Strange.
That's you and Elise, I believe, it was mentioning that one earlier.
I'd love to see him as like an older Doctor Strange.
Right.
He's if we're gonna bring in the Guardians of the Galaxy and Thanos and all the cosmic stuff. Maybe the Avengers have to go to an older, wiser Doctor Strange to understand a little bit of what's out there, and that's when you see a Hanks come in.
Oh, I just said put him in a Galactus outfit.
So good.
Just put him in the Galactus.
Outfit. Just the face.
Just the face. Yeah.
As long as it's not a cloud this time.
No.
I'm okay. As long as there's no more Galactus cloud, I'm okay with that. But yeah, Hanks in any of these roles. I just love that we're in a point now. We've talked about this before, where things that we grew up devouring and things that these guys grew up reading are finally becoming mainstream enough that it's not like, I don't want to do that movie because it'll make me look, bad. Only low budget actors would do a superhero movie. Now it's like every single
A-list
person,
actor.
every A-list person in Hollywood is open for a superhero
Even
role
directors, like all the big directors want to do these
because they grew up with it. It's like it's something that they grew up loving, and I love that we're at that point. I mentioned it last week, but I hope we're kind of getting to that point with video games, where we have people that grew up playing games and they love these franchises and they know they're more than just a licensing, like, oh, let's go get this because a bunch of people already know what this is and we'll just steal the logo from a game and make a really shitty movie. So I'm hoping we start getting there with things like Assassin's Creed. Maybe Need for Speed.
The video game thing's going to be, I think, a tougher sell for a lot of people. Only because
I agree.
I mean, what people like most about it is the interactivity, the ability to become those characters, and going from this to being completely passive in a way, is I think that's such more. There's a lot more complexity to that to pull that thing off.
And I think you need to find the right franchise, right? Like, you need to find the right franchise, the one that like I don't really want to see a Assassin's Creed movie where it's just Assassin's Creed 1.
Right.
Like, that universe is huge. Make an Assassin's Creed movie that has nothing to do with games.
Right.
Just use the branding. Use the same thing with Mass Effect, right? I'd love to see a Mass Effect movie.
Sure, you've got a massive universe there.
You've built a universe. It doesn't have to be Commander Shepard's story. Right. Why not do an Uncharted movie? It doesn't have to be Uncharted 1, 2, or 3.
Sure.
But those guys have referenced hundreds of other adventures that have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
That, Drake has gone on, so let's see one of those.
Right.
Like expand the universe out.
We don't need to start with an origin story again. We don't need to do any of that stuff. We just leap right into it.
Indiana Jones meets National Treasure.
I'm in.
Uncharted.
Oh man, I don't know now. See, that doesn't sell it for me now. Okay. Well,
that's totally what it'd be.
Yeah.
Like.
I'm more excited about any Indiana Jones knockoff than I am currently about Indiana Jones 5.
That's
so
pretty fair.
I'll take that.
Pretty fair. All right, it's from Marvel to DC this weekend. If you were, is it Pasadena?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere in the LA area.
So probably Rose Bowl.
By the time you see this, it's going to be too late. But so what just happened, and it was an amazing event because we were all there, was they shot a scene, a bit, a sequence, something for the Batman versus Superman film. Here in LA at a football stadium. What it's about, how it plays into the system, we don't know. What are the teams that are in
the Gotham City?
Was it
the Gotham University something versus the Metropolis State?
Right?
Yeah.
Because Metropolis is a state now.
Yeah.
Well. Okay, so I originally was really angry about that, and then I started thinking like Long Beach State, Chico State, like
that's a good point. Okay, I'll give you that.
I mean, you know how much I love defending the Batman Superman movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that I'm doing this right now, I'll give them a tiny bit.
I think the biggest thing though is that they're into it. I mean, they're already.
Yeah,
We've gone from the announcement. God, I mean, 2 months ago. 2.5 months ago, from the announcement to they're now starting to shoot.
It sounds like they're just shooting a sequence, though. So is this going to be? Is this a teaser that we're going to see with The Hobbit in a couple weeks?
I think it's just something they're shooting for previs. I think it's something I think it's something that's going to be going into a much bigger visual effects sequence.
So they're going to have to get it done early.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's it's going to be background plates for something. You know what I'm saying?
It could all be like the B team, B crew.
Yeah. But which means
action.
But they're moving forward. I mean, they're moving forward fast with the suckers. So
that means
they're going to have it out.
I'm assuming if Batman and Superman are there, that means we'll see the new costumes.
Right.
They have been.
Are they going to be?
No, they.
I
heard
who knows, about that, right? Like
I heard something about they were booked until like next year.
But but if these are action stunt sequences, these are going to be actors, stunt guys anyway. So it's like, what are the costumes going to look like? They were horrible on Dark Knight Rises with keeping anything secret.
Oh yeah.
Almost every shot of that movie was leaked ahead of time, which was
they leaked, like,
shocking.
Catwoman at the mansion or something.
Everything. I mean, you saw the pit that Wayne was in was like the first thing that leaked. You saw the
fight between him and
the
Bane,
Wing.
And a bunch of that stuff came out.
Catwoman on the motorcycle, like everything in that movie leaked.
When you're using real locations, though, when you're flying those things through, that shit's tough to keep silent.
Yeah, it was just weird because the first two movies felt so under wraps.
Right.
And then this, I just felt like they were flaunting it,
right.
Almost. Where I mean, my big theory with it was that they were doing it
purposely
as like a look over here.
Oh sure, right.
And it was going to be like the first 2 minutes of the movie, and then I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I've seen all of this.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So it's going to be interesting to see how much. It's so much harder now.
Everyone has Twitter, Facebook, Vines,
just walking around, assholes walking around wearing Google Glass all the time, just taking photos of people.
Yeah, you are to blame for a lot of this, Jeremy. Let's face it. You and your ilk.
I'm going.
Oh my God. Always with the Google Glass now.
It's not going to happen.
So also in the DC world, I wanted to say Benicio del Toro. Guillermo del Toro is still. That's right. He's got. Two little bits of information came out this week. One, Pacific Rim 2, and 2, Justice League Dark. Both projects. Now, Del Toro is infamous for having years of projects lined up. I mean, he's got, Mountains of Madness and all, just decades and decades of projects that he's got stored up. But the two titles, of course, the most recent ones that are big for him are Pacific Rim 2.
Yes.
So excited.
Which we will see that he has hired a writer. He's not named the writer, but he said we'd all be very happy with who they hired.
Damon Lindelof.
Yeah. See, now we're not allowed to. We won't talk about it. We can't tweet him anymore about it. That's for sure. Ask. And then the second piece was he really wants to get a Justice League Dark going. So where do we go with this conversation?
Well, okay. So I mean, Pacific Rim, I think
so
was
excited.
my favorite.
It's my favorite movie this year.
It's my favorite movie of the summer. Like in terms of like.
Of the summer, okay.
Summer blockbuster, actiony,
sure.
Those type of movies. It was my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't compare that to something like
I know, I agree. No,
Gravity, or even Saving Mr. Banks is already my favorite movie of the year. I haven't seen it yet,
right?
Because I'm such a goddamn Disney fanboy.
Right.
So whatever, but yeah, like I'm not gonna compare those. There's like the Oscar movies,
right,
that I'm gonna love, and then like the dumb ones that I just want to watch, and that's king of that pile,
right?
So I'm in. I want more of that universe. I thought they did a really good job building out the universe.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. There's a huge world to explore, and that's really the best part about Pacific Rim for me is that they've really kind of they've done these very broad, big strokes on this fantastic world, and the ability to go in there and go, okay, great, let's learn about this part, let's learn about that part.
I'd love to learn more about that, unless not that I dislike giant monsters punching each other in the face over and over again. Really fun.
Yeah.
But like that weird religion that or like the black market that popped up around it. Like I just feel like there's so much cool little stuff in details. And that's
now the classic revenge story is set up. The return of the aliens, the monsters.
Yeah. They've got to do something about that crevasse in the Pacific there. They got to open that sucker back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or one opens up in the Atlantic.
Do you think they'll do some kind of prequel with Idris Elba's character?
That I don't. Yeah,
I'd love to see a prequel. I mean, there's just like I felt like
the word prequel, and
I know
because they came out with a graphic novel that was like day one of the invasion, which was pretty good. So I feel like that's already kind of been covered.
Right.
So I'm wondering if they'll just continue forward and do the classic revenge tale, or focus on the origins of everything.
Who knows?
Origins are so popular now.
Origins have been popular for quite a while. So I'll tell you what, we'll wrap up all our comic book shtick right there, unless there was anything else you guys felt we needed to cover.
No, I was saying Justice League Dark, for people that don't know what it is. It's I think the reason people didn't think it was going to happen is Constantine was announced as a TV show on its own, so everyone's like, okay, well, Justice League Dark has to be going away. For those of you that don't know Justice League Dark, it's kind of it's Constantine, Madame Xanadu, I think, was in some Swamp Thing, Frankenstein, like out of the DC universe.
Right. It's all kind of the supernatural.
The supernatural characters have created a superhero team. Right. So that sounds,
right in Guillermo del Toro's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
it's perfect. So I'm excited he's working on both projects.
Let's take a real quick break, and we will be right back with a little bit on Gravity, a little bit on some other stuff, and mysteries abound. So join us.